Hi, my name is Santiago, and my team members are David Padilla and David Maldonado, and we're going to talk about Latin America. First of all, by observing the attitudes and behaviors of people of a culture, it is possible to gain insight into their values in order to build effective global business relationships. Attitudes toward the family. The meaning and importance of the family on an individual's own experience as well on cultural influences and, and in many countries, people gain a sense of security from their strong family ties. Different family systems have evolved to meet the needs of a society. One system is monogamy, one husband and one wife, which is practiced in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Attitudes toward religion. Religious attitudes become apparent when examining the importance of religion in the daily lives of people in various cultures. Religion is sometimes a factor when conducting business in other cultures, although religion has little impact on business in Australia, Europe, and North and South America. Attitudes toward education. It varies from countries that believe that education should be accessible to those that believe that education should be limited to a select few, such as Mexico, that the classroom are controlled by the teacher who oversees the verbal interaction. Work attitudes and behaviors is a term that refers to how people of a culture view work, and culturally diverse. A report by the International Labour Organization revealed the average number of hours worked per person per week, and Mexico is in sixth place with 43.3 hours. Attitudes toward equality, status, and social class. Status is associated with education in several other cultures. In Mexico and several South America countries, a lawyer is addressed as licenciado, a very important title. Cultural variations in public behavior. Public behavior often reflects the value of people of a culture. For example, people in Mexico and Japan are quite comfortable with crowded situations, including pushing through a crowd where touching strangers is inevitable. Visitors to other countries should be aware of behavior expected in public places. Showing respect for cultural variations in public behavior is much more likely to result in being welcomed in various countries and in being treated with the respect shown for the country's customs.
Hello, I'm going to talk about nonverbal communication, more specifically in Latin America. Several investigations and research studies have proved that nonverbal communication is crucial for the success of interpersonal communication. Of course, it is also essential in any international negotiation or any international conversation. According to a study that took over 15 years, um, studying the different styles of negotiating around the world, we can tell that the use and the meaning of nonverbal communication depends on the culture and the country of the negotiator. For example, the Japanese people are less aggressive than the French people, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason is because the Japanese people are always trying to avoid negative answers, like no, and they also avoid the word you. Um, they have a polite style of negotiating. On the other hand, the French people are a little more aggressive because they try to show authority and they are constantly interrupting the conversation and giving warnings into the negotiation. Talking about Latin America, more specifically Brazil, the Brazilian negotiators are very similar to the French negotiators because they are also aggressive and they also try to show authority. Something very common, and not just for Brazil, uh, for in general all Latin America, is that the negotiators are always using like physical touching to the other negotiator. Um, we are always trying to show that we have this approach to the negotiator and we touch physically the other negotiator. So During a negotiation process, you need to be prepared. You need to have cultural awareness, and you need to know how to behave in certain situations, and you also need to know you need to put effort on knowing how the other negotiator thinks and how they will behave. Um, you need to be really prepared. You need to know about different gestures, the meaning of some particular gestures. Um, you need to know everything, all about the other negotiator and the culture of the other negotiator. You need to be also very clear about what you are trying to express, what you are trying to establish during the conversation, because you need to to express correctly the information you want to send. And the use of feedback is necessary if you want to assure that that they are receiving the correct information. Uh, Interpretations are very important. So your gestures and your manners will be considered in an interpretation. So you need to be very clear and specific if you want to send some particular message. So to sum up and to conclude, my team and I, we think that if you learn more about the language, if you put effort on learning about manners, culture, and nonverbal communication, you will have more opportunities to have success to persuade the other negotiator. You will be a leader in the negotiation, and you will be able to have success during the negotiation. So it's very important that you know how to behave and you know how to use the nonverbal communication uh, in order to have success and to have a good conversation in which you can explain clearly all the points that you want to talk about.
Global manners. First of all, the travel preparation. In travel preparation, you can have your checklist, the passport and the visa. In Latin American countries, the visa is not required only if you stay for a long time in the country, for example, 1 year or 6 months. Also, in your checklist, you can have the government issues with your picture of your ID, the plane tickets, the presentation of your materials, the business cards, insurance cards, the information of car rental, the medicines if you are allergic to something, if you have another allergies, the type of lot, an umbrella, laundry bag, clothing, money, ATM card, alarm clock, an electric adapter, contact list. Uh, for American countries, the way of involving with all the people is that people will ask for your family and they expect you to tell them about your family. They don't want to ask how's your life going. Uh, Also, it's important to print your business card in English and on one side and in the other side the language of the country. Also, you can have tips for women. In Latin America, it's very common that their business travels are together, a male and a woman. So in that case, you can ask for, if you are a woman, to have your own room in the hotel, because sometimes it's inappropriate to being in the same room with men, and you can ask be in another room or in another floor in the hotel.